Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the OMG Show. And today we're going to be talking about how to create content that has purpose. Time and time again, I see a lot of different businesses post on social media, on their Facebook. They write emails and all these kind of things. But it's important that, as with all things inside of your business, that there should be a strategy in place to help drive positive results. So let's go into talking kind of what we should do when it comes to creating a content strategy that's going to, number one, attract the right kind of people to your business, but also number two, make sure that those type of people take your offers. Right now, it's all what it has to do about understanding the transformation that you provide. You see, most people in your market, right, think of it as a desert, a plateau, where they're over here under the hot sun. They're looking for water, they're dehydrated. You're over here at the five-star resort, sipping on some Voss water and all that kind of stuff. And they're trying to get from point A to point B, but they're not exactly sure how to do that. So your business becomes a bridge between point A to point B, between dying and surviving, right? So in order to create a bridge, if you look at any bridge, wherever you may be, you see that a bridge is typically held up by certain columns or pillars. If you were to think about that in terms of your business, you have to look at the transformation that you provide and think to yourself, what are the 5 to 7 main pillars that facilitate that transformation? Okay, so for example, let's say you wanted to help someone, become better at their finances, right? Typically, step one is taking an audit of where they're at right now, right? Then step two is looking at, okay, well, once we understand the audit and where you're at, let's find out the best things that you should do. Then step three might be to save, and then step four might be some investments, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, the point is that you have to look at the bridge as a transformation that your business is providing, and that's where your business lives. Okay, you're just going to go from side to side, and that's where your business lives. It lives in providing that transformation. Now, in terms of your content, the way this works is what I call the octopus method. Okay, if we're to take that bridge and those 5 to 7 columns and kind of make it into a circle, we then have different arms that we can potentially start reaching out to with our offers. Right, so we have one arm going to one different offer, one arm going to another, so on and so on and so on. So what ends up happening is that these become different categories that we can essentially start to categorize our content with, right? Ideally, each one of these 5 to 7 pillars has its own offer. And if you listen to my show before, you know that I'm huge in terms of building an email list. And ideally, the best way to build an email list has some kind of free offer. So whatever of those 5 to 7 pillars you want to move forward with, make sure you have a free offer. That way, when you create a piece of content, you can use that free offer and put it inside that piece of content. So when people are reading or engaging with that content, they have a next step to take. Okay. So now that we have those things in place, we can then see, okay, look, I have my 5 to 7 columns in place. I have my offers. Now I can start creating different offers behind those free ones to then start scaling my business. Okay, but we always start with the offer first. We start with the offer, what we have, and then we break that offer down into those 5 to 7 different categories. Okay, because you have to think backwards. You have to think with the destination in mind, right? Like, think of it like if you're an airline, right? Like Delta or American Airlines, right? They're selling you the destination. Hey, look, to go to Florida, it's this much. To go to LA, it's this much. What you want is the destination. But in order to get there, you need the plane, right? Your content is the plane. Okay, so you need to think about, where do my people want to go, and how am I going to use my planes to facilitate that travel, right? So we start with the offer, we break that offer down into your 5 to 7 categories, and then now you start to create content that has purpose, that can move people with initiative. All right, rather than just kind of spray and pray approach where you're just throwing content left and right and hoping something lands. You have to be very targeted. The reason why is because it's time consuming, right? Creating content is very time consuming, and you don't want to get burned out by that. So you want to make sure that when you break down your business into the transformation that it provides, and you have your 5 to 7 pillars, you start to then do what's called keyword research. Okay, you can then identify gaps in the market, areas of opportunity where you can write an article or create a piece of content that is going to attract eyeballs. Okay, and again, when you have that piece of content created, you want to make sure that content is attached to an offer, right? So that way, when people are visiting your website and they're reading your content, there's opportunities for them to be or to sign up for your list. And ultimately, that's what you want. You want to build your email list, because then you can continue to build that relationship in the back end. Okay. Now, this octopus method is very powerful because essentially, when we're talking about offers, we're also talking about sales funnels. Okay. Putting some kind of paid offer behind the free offer to build your list. So imagine, let's forward this 6 months and you've been, you figured out your categories, you've been creating content pieces for each one, you have free offers, and you've done your keyword research. You're going to be getting traffic and building your list. And at that point, you're going to be primed and ready to release an offer that is very targeted to your market. This is also a good way of doing some market segmentation because each one of these different, octopus arms, if you will, is going to have a different psychology behind it, which is why I highly encourage that you always survey your market, right? Let's say someone is coming in on, I need to know where I am with my finances. And then another arm is, I'm looking to start investing. Those are two different mindsets. Those are two different people with two very different challenges, right? So what needs to happen is we need to survey them and ask them questions in order to truly identify what those challenges are, because then guess what? We're going to start creating content around those things. And ultimately what we want to do when it comes to creating content is create content where it's like we feel like we're inside their minds, right? Where the customer is like, wow, it's like you took the words right out of my mouth. When we get to that level of marketing, of content creation, that's when you know you're winning, because you're speaking in the language that your market understands, and you're speaking in a way that's going to bring up home the value, and that's what you want. Okay, so when it comes to creating content that's compelling, that's going to move your business forward, you have to start with the offer. And when you start with the offer, break that down into 5 to 7 major categories that facilitate the transformation. Again, we're going from survive to thrive, right? Your business lives between these 2 points. And then once you have those 5 to 7 categories, that's the content you create, right? Don't stray out of your house. Focus on that content, double down on that content, live that content, okay? But make sure that whatever content piece you have has what's called a call to action, meaning you're directing people into some other step of your business, ideally to build your email list so you can continue to build that relationship behind the scenes. All right. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. I'll see you all in the next one.